What is good, everyone? Your boy Deke back again with another vid. You know what we got to do? First preseason game's coming up. Hall of Fame game, August 5th, 7 o'clock. Let's give it a preview. I think it'd be worthwhile. What we do know for sure right off the bat, Dak Prescott's not playing. Big Ben's not going to play. Neither of them should be playing, nor are they. Even though ESPN, you see the commercials, they're promoting the Hall of Fame game. Who's on it? It's Big Ben, it's Dak Prescott. And here we are, Hall of Fame game, August 5th. The duel between Big Ben and Dak Prescott. Check it out on ESPN. That's not happening. Ben, I don't think, has even played the first preseason game in the past decade, 15 years maybe. There's no reason for that. Why even increase a risk in injury for our Hall of Fame quarterback who we're going to need for this season? And then for Dallas, if Dak wasn't slightly injured with this shoulder injury, he might be playing a few snaps, maybe a series or two, just to get back in the swing of things after last year's injury. But with that shoulder injury, no matter how little it is, there's no reason to mess with that, especially in preseason. So Dak and Ben, they're not playing. I assume Mason Rudolph to be starting off the game. And I don't know. We'll go over their quarterbacks in a little bit. With Cowboys, typically an 8-8 team, year in and year out, even though they receive probably the most hype in the NFL. That's because Jerry Jones and the marketing genius behind what he does. Defense is always pretty suspect, and there's talent all over on offense. That's the Cowboys right there. We already mentioned Dak's not playing, so here are their quarterbacks. Cooper Rush, Garrett Gilbert, Ben DiNucci. That is the order of their depth chart right now. So it looks like Cooper Rush will probably be getting QB1 duties right off the bat, even though we didn't play him last year, right? We played Garrett Gilbert. Was Cooper Rush actually their second quarterback? And then he got hurt, and Garrett Gilbert was QB3 going up against us? Either way, I don't really care who we have out there on defense, whether it's the fourth stringers, the fifth stringers. None of these quarterbacks should be lighting us up or doing too much. Even though last year, Gilbert kind of did keep the Cowboys relevant in that game for the most part and made our cornerbacks look a little foolish at times. I'm not expecting too much out of the Cowboys offense with those guys at the helm, especially when you consider I don't think their top three receivers are going to be playing most of the game. Maybe they'll get a series or two. But like our receivers, I don't really think it's worth the risk to be having them out there for too long. Zeke Elliott, probably not going to be playing a lot. Tony Pollard is solid, though. So if he gets most of the work in the first half, that could be something to watch for. The most interesting matchup, in my opinion, Micah Parsons on the Cowboys defense. I'm assuming he'll be playing a decent amount with him being a rookie. Just as Devin Bush played for us a decent amount in his first preseason a couple years back. He's going to be going up against Pat Freiermuth and maybe even Najee Harris. Micah, by all accounts, was a top 10 player coming out in this year's draft. Some people might have even thought he was the best player. It's just because he's a linebacker, he wasn't going to go as high as some of the other positions like quarterback, the cornerbacks that went, receivers. Now, with Freiermuth, a lot of people have been saying he's been basically uncoverable in training camp. And then Najee Harris, we've all heard the reports about him. So that is probably the most interesting matchup to watch for in the first quarter and in the first half. Michael Parsons versus Pat and Najee. Cowboys also have Kelvin Joseph. They took him in the second round. So depending on who he's going up against or how early he's even going to play, that could be a little interesting. They picked up Keanu Neal. They obviously have Jalen Smith. How's Leighton Vander Esch going to bounce back? We're also playing someone with a bone to pick. We got a little bit of a revenge game. Former Steeler Malik Hooker. He was on the team from June 2021 to July 2021, according to Steelers Twitter members. But yeah, that's also something to watch for. But in terms of matchups, we really don't know what we're going to get. I just kind of skimmed through some things real quick, but I don't know how long certain players are going to play. I don't know too much depth about the Cowboys players or really care about that. I'm more concerned about our depth guys, what type of matchups, not necessarily what type of matchups we're going to be getting against the Cowboys, more so the competition between our depth guys. So yeah, I'll go over who we got, the kind of general buzz, stock up, stock down, which is a whole other conversation, which is crazy. I've never remembered the NFL, the Steelers, training camps being covered how they have been covered this year. I don't know if I've lived under a rock, because before I started doing social media stuff and media stuff, I didn't have social media. But to see play-by-plays disseminated out to the public of what's going on in training camp, the videos, and it's just crazy to me. I don't know. There's pros and cons. We'll put it that way. There's pros and cons. But I'm just more excited to actually see the training camp, the actual preseason games, as opposed to just a random sentence on what's going on in training camp. Because what's really going to matter is the games, and specifically the regular season games. The preseason games will be a nice little gauge and is a little bit more valuable, in my opinion, than training camp, because training camp's one thing, training camp's practice. It's like Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice here. We got to see you perform in the game. Training camp can help that, but at the end of the day, wins and losses come in regular season games. That's what I'm more pumped about. I always thought there was a little something to not knowing all this and just being amped up to see actual football on TV, whether it was preseason or regular season. But now it's like, dude, it's like 24/7. I don't want to say it's completely bad, but it's just different than how it was. Back in my day, it was different. So we'll just leave it at that. There's positives and negatives, but let's get over the players. We'll try to go through this quick. There's nothing to really labor on with any of these. We got about 9 or 10 competitions that I have listed. So first we have Melvin Ingram versus Alex Highsmith. Right now, the reports are saying Melvin Ingram hasn't been playing too much. Alex Highsmith has had some highlights thrown out there, has had some nice moves. All the reports are pointing in a positive direction for Highsmith. So we'll see in preseason. If Melvin Ingram isn't playing too much, I wonder if that means he's already the starter. But I thought it was going to be a 50-50 competition. Either way, that's going to be something to watch for early in the game. And then quarterback 2, we have Dwayne Haskins, Mason Rudolph. We knew this was going to be an interesting competition coming into training camp, and that doesn't change for week 1. A lot of positive reports from Haskins, a lot of positive highlights from Haskins, and haven't really heard anything negative from Mason Rudolph. Mason's going to start the game. Haskins will jump in maybe late second quarter or second half, and Dawes will probably finish out the game. And then we have the slot cornerback, Arthur Millett versus Antoine Brooks. Not really sure who's going to start. We've heard positive reports from both. Antoine Brooks picked off Ben, but then we hear a lot about Arthur Millett's versatility and what he could bring from that standpoint. Cornerback, the reason I'm going to say cornerback 4 instead of cornerback 3 is because I believe whoever wins the slot corner is going to be technically cornerback 3 and getting the majority of the snaps. So cornerback 4, Mark Gilbert, James Pierre, Justin Lane. Stock down, Justin Lane. Haven't been hearing the most positive things about him in camp. Stock up for both Mark Gilbert and James Pierre. Mark Gilbert's been more for special teams, and James Pierre, it's been pretty much Pierre Island in training camp thus far. Inside linebacker number 3, Marcus Allen, Ulysses Gilbert, Buddy Johnson. I haven't heard too much about this position battle. I heard a couple good things about Buddy Johnson, but that's about it. Defensive tackle number 2 / interior lineman, Loudermilk, Bugs, Wormley. Punter, Presley Harvin, Jordan Berry. I've heard Presley Harvin doing good things. Jordan Berry, it's kind of a pretty good competition thus far. And then running back 2, Benny Snell, McFarland, Kalen Ballage. It seems like they've been doing good things in training camp thus far. That'll be interesting to see in preseason. McFarland got a lot of snaps in training camp day 1, doing a lot of motions and stuff. I've heard good things about Kalen Ballage too. But I think Benny Snell's the more complete back. I also saw a highlight where he got a touchdown. And then we have Kendrick Green, J.C. Hassenauer at center. I know J.C. Hassenauer is center 1 on the depth chart, but I think Kendrick Green will be the starter by day 1. And then at left tackle, we got Chooks and Dan Moore. Dan Moore's stock seems to be down a little bit. Chooks has been hurt. He's been limited. And we've heard positive sound bites from the Steelers about Chooks saying that he was graded better at left tackle than right tackle. We'll think he'll be fine at that position. So that's what I'm going to be excited about for this preseason game 1. It's not as much about the Steeler versus Cowboy matchups because we have no idea, one, who's even going to be playing for the Steelers and what amount of time, but we also don't know that for the Cowboys. And I don't really care about the Cowboys' depth pieces like I do with the Steelers. So these little competitions, even though a lot of them are for depth outside of the slot corner or the edge rusher, I guess you could say RB2 though is pretty important. Left tackle starter, center starter. So it isn't all completely just depth. We do got some starter battles here. These are the things I'm going to be most excited about for preseason game 1. It's going to be the in-house competition. X Factor though, I'm going to leave on this. Who could be the X Factor? I'm saying Rico Bussey. Hear me out on this. Haskins has been doing pretty good in this training camp. A lot of glowing reports. His main target, from what I'm seeing, has been Rico Bussey. He's been making some plays. So if we're saying Mason plays the first half, Mason maybe plays a quarter and a half, whatever it is. Haskins comes in. He plays his quarter and a half, 2 quarters. He's going to be going up against the Cowboys' second and third stringers, just like he has in training camp. And Rico Bussey is probably going to be a receiver that's out there. And it seems like in training camp, that has been a positive connection. So why wouldn't it be a positive connection for game 1 in preseason? So I'm saying watch out for Rico Bussey. Watch out for the Rico Bussey-Haskins connection for game 1. Hall of Fame game. Steelers' first preseason game. So that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this little preview of just chopping it up. Stay chilling. Peace.